Welcome back to Unfiltered, where we talk about life, leadership, faith, culture, and what it looks like to live with conviction in a confused world. I'm your host, Jason Gaszak, and my heart with this podcast is simple: to have honest conversations that help us think deeper, live stronger, and stay aligned with who God has called us to be and bring us back to the truth. Today, I want to talk about something I think almost everybody feels right now, whether they can explain it or not, and that is this: why do healthy relationships feel so rare now? Or you could say, why do healthy relationships feel so rare today? I believe there is a tension we have in more ways to connect than ever before, but yet people seem more disconnected than ever. We can text instantly. We can FaceTime across the country. We send memes. There's voice notes. There's videos, reels, pictures. We got messages all day long on every single platform, but yet we can know we can know even what somebody's doing without ever actually talking to them because of social media. But yet somehow people still feel lonely. Not always physically lonely. A lot of people are surrounded by people. They work with people. They live with people. They go to church with people. But they sit in meetings with people. And they sit around the dinner tables. But emotionally, they feel alone. And that's a different kind of loneliness. Because you can be married and still feel alone. You can have all kinds of friends and feel alone. Heck, you can even sit in a church auditorium with hundreds of people and still feel like nobody really knows what's going on the inside of you. And I don't think most people intend for life to become this way. I don't think most people woke up one day and decided they wanted to have this surface level relationship. I just think what happened, that there was this slow drift that started happening. Life got busy, phones got louder, our schedules got a lot more full, people got more distracted, and then, you know what? We started running into this thing about convenience, and convenience is not the same thing as connection. If it's convenient for me, I'll have that cup of coffee. If it's convenient for me, I'll serve or go to church or sit down for dinner. But that is not the same thing as connection. And that's one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately. We have confused access with intimacy. Just because I can reach you anytime does not mean I'm close to you. Just because I know what you posted does not mean that we are friends, or just because I know what you're doing. There's a lot of things throughout the day that we may see through our stories and through social media, but that does not mean we are having meaningful conversations. And a lot of communication today is shallow. And this is what it looks like. How are you? Good. What are you doing? Nothing. Well, how was your day? Fine. And that's it. That's our meaningful conversation. And there was nothing meaningful about that. All we did was exchange words, but not really share our hearts. And I think that's why so many people feel unknown. They don't feel heard. They don't feel valued. It's not that they're necessarily being ignored. They're just not engaging in a deep conversation. And there is a difference between the two. I think healthy relationships are becoming rare because they require something culture is slowly training out of us. Presence, real presence. Not just being in the room or sitting at the table, but actually being there in the moment. Listening to the person in front of you, looking into their eyes, asking questions, not rushing the moment or checking out mentally because you want to scroll on your phone or you just got an email and you need to respond. No. Presence matters. When you can feel someone is present with you and you can feel when they're not. I think about marriage for a moment. Marriage can slowly become logistical if you're not careful. You love each other, but most of your conversations become about schedules and your kids and the bills and all the problems and responsibilities you have, and probably even what needs to get done. But there's no deep, meaningful conversation. You ask questions like, well, who's picking this up today? And what time do we have to be there? And did you pay that bill? And those things do matter because life has responsibilities. But if a marriage only runs on logistics, eventually it starts feeling more like a business partnership than a relationship. And that can happen slowly. You don't stop loving each other. You just stop pursuing one another. You don't stop asking deeper questions. You stop asking deeper questions. You stop laughing like you used to. You stop sitting together without distractions. You stop being curious about one another because life gets so busy. And I think people forget this. The person you married is still growing and changing and processing. They're feeling things and becoming someone over time. You cannot assume you know everything about them just because you've been married to them for years. Healthy marriages require continued pursuit. All right? Not dramatic movie scene pursuit every day, okay? Just consistent pursuit. Sitting together, talking together, going on a walk, putting the phone down and asking, how are you really doing today? Paying attention to what they are carrying and listening without trying to fix everything. Oh, let me just stop there because that's my big one. I'm always trying to fix everybody when sometimes the most spiritual thing that we can do in a relationship is just be present and listen. It's true in a friendship as well because a lot of friendships today have become convenient. We keep up with people from a distance. We like their post. We send a quick message. We say, hey, we need to get together soon. But nobody actually puts it on the calendar. And before long, months go by and then years. And it's not because somebody's mad. It's because nobody did anything about it. It's not that they did something wrong. It's because relationships don't stay healthy accidentally. And that's the thing. Relationships don't usually blow up overnight. A lot of them just dry up from lack of attention. And I think we need to be honest about how transactional relationships have become as well. A lot of people only stay connected when there's a benefit for them. If the relationship helps them or advances them, gives them some type of attention or opportunity, you know what they do? They keep that relationship alive. But when it no longer benefits them, guess what happens? They disappear. That friendship isn't working. It's networking, right? That's not friendship working. It's networking. Real friendship is different. Real friendship is not just about some usefulness. It's about faithfulness. It's about showing up when it's not convenient and checking in when there's nothing to gain. It's about being present when life is messy. It's also about telling the truth in love. I think a lot of people are craving that kind of friendship. They don't need more contacts and more followers or more people watching their stories. You know what they need? They just need real friends. People who know who you are. Because people can tell when something is off. People who don't just celebrate your wins, but also sit with you in your pain. That is the kind of relationship that we are looking for, and it's rare. But it's not impossible. It just has to be built. And building that relationship takes time, which is another thing culture doesn't love anymore, is time. We want depth quickly, right? We want to trust quickly. We want people to understand us quickly. But deep relationships are not microwaved. They are slow cooked in a crock pot, and they're built through repeated moments of consistency. Consistency of those family dinners and the long conversations, serving together, walking through hard seasons, laughing until you cry, making memories, showing up again and again and again. That is how relationships deepen. And I think family dinners are one of those places where we can see how much has changed. There is a time where the table was a gathering place, where people sat down, they talked, they caught up for their day, they laughed, sometimes they argued, but you know what they did? They processed life. And today, not a lot of families do that. A lot of families barely even eat together. And when they do, everyone is half there because their phones are out sitting on the table. The TV's on, or they're sitting down in front of the TV, and everyone is distracted. Again, this is not me saying that technology is bad. I use it. We all do. But if we're not careful, our devices will give us access to the whole world while stealing connection from the people sitting right in front of us. And that is a bad, bad trade. You can be connected to everybody, and you can be close to nobody. And I think that is where a lot of people are living. They are over-connected digitally and under-connected emotionally. And eventually, that is going to catch up to us. It's going to catch up to our marriage and our kids, our friendship in the church. And as a leader, I think about it. Because leadership relationships also require intentionality. You cannot lead people well if you only interact when you need something from them. People can feel that. If the only time people hear from you is when there is a problem or some task that needs to be done or a correction, then the relationship starts to feel transactional. Leadership is not just getting things done through people. It's building people while you're getting those things done together. That takes time, it takes conversation, and it takes presence. And in the church community, I think this is huge. It's what we here at Roots Church are trying to build, because a lot of people say they want community, but community requires participation. It requires you to be vulnerable and patient. It requires you to have grace. And I know these are, there can be unhealthy situations where people need to walk away from. I'm not talking about staying in an abusive, toxic, destructive environment. But I do think culture has trained people to leave way too quickly. When life gets hard, what do? We quit. When someone disappoints you, you disconnect. If a friendship requires effort, just let it fade. And then we wonder why friendships feel shallow. Because healthy relationships, they require repair. Every family will have moments of frustration. Every church community will have imperfect people. The goal is to build relationships strong enough to work through the tension. Not when everything is easy, but when people choose to stay present, honest, and committed. I think comfort has replaced effort for a lot of people because we want that relationship to feel natural all the time. We want it to feel convenient. But the deepest relationships in your life, they're going to require real effort, not forced or fake, but intentional effort. Intentionality, you know what it says? It says, you matter enough for me to make the time. You matter enough for me to not let this relationship drift. And that is how intimacy is created, is by intentionality. And I really believe one of the biggest reasons healthy relationships feel rare is because people are waiting for depth to happen accidentally. But it don't happen accidentally. Distance happens accidentally. Drift happens accidentally. But depth, it has to be chosen. And maybe that's the question we need to be asking ourselves today. Where have I allowed drift? Where in my marriage or with my kids or with the people I lead or in my community? Where have I been, or who have I been around, but not really present with? These are all questions we can ask ourselves. They're not questions for you to feel guilty. They're reflection questions, because the goal is not to feel bad. The goal is to wake up and be aware of what's going on around you and realize that relationships matter most, and they're needed. And it's not about having leftovers. You know, leftover time. Well, I got a little time here now that my week is opened up. No. People cannot thrive on leftovers. And I think it's important for us to realize that. And if we're not careful, we start consuming relationships the same way with leftovers. What can that person do for me? And how can they make me feel? And all the different questions we ask. But real relationships are not just about consumption. They are about contribution. They are about building something together. That's what real relationships are about. And you know what that does? That takes a commitment. And a commitment is not always convenient. And that is why convenience has replaced commitment in so many places. Healthy relationships are worth it. They are worth the awkward conversations, the time, the effort, all the things that it takes, because at the end of the day, your life is not going to wish you scrolled more. You're not going to wish that you were more distracted or that you keep everything surface level. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to realize that you needed those people in your life. That's what matters. So maybe healthy relationships feel rare now because they require something rare. Maybe the invitation for all of us is to stop waiting for relationships to become healthy on their own and start building them on purpose. People are not interruptions in your life. People are at the point in your life where they want to be known, seen, and loved. They just have to be chosen. Listen, I know this isn't easy because it takes effort and it takes time. And I just want to thank you again for listening to Unfiltered. If this episode has challenged you in any way or has encouraged you or made you think of somebody, I want you to share it with them. But more than that, don't just send them the episode. Call them, sit with them, have dinner with them, and be present with them, because healthy relationships don't happen by accident. They are built on purpose. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on Unfiltered. And don't forget, subscribe and share this podcast with someone you care about. Have a great day.